Hello everyone, it's Lindsay and I have some new stamps to show you today. These are from Right at Home and this is a new company to me. They did send these to me for review, but I really love the product she has. So I have here, the first one was Brushstroke Alphabet, that second one was His Love, and then this one here is Abstract Florals. So she has some great ones with these abstract, or not abstract, but solid pieces and lined pieces all in the same stamp set, which really lends well for watercolor. So I'm going to show you how I do that today. But first I wanted to give you a little tip on how I store my stamps. So these are new, I'm just opening them. And what I like to do is cut the sticky flap off the bottom, and then if it has this extra flap at the top, I cut that off, but I cut down the center of the crimped line, that way it's still sealed. And then I take everything out and flip it upside down so the opening is at the top, and now I have a little plastic pocket, and I just store those standing up in a container. So I'm going to start out with the brushed alphabet. I have the lowercase, there is an uppercase as well. And I went ahead and stamped out my phrase on a scrap piece of paper first, just to kind of help myself with lining everything up and getting the spacing right. But you don't necessarily have to do this. I just wanted to make sure everything would fit well. And I'm going to be stamping with VersaFine Onyx Black ink. You'll notice there's two R's. There's an R like this one to start a word, and then there's also an R like in the word pray that goes in between two letters. So it's really easy to get that calligraphy look without actually having to hand letter. And so you want to slightly overlap your letters as you're stamping them, and that's how you're going to get that continuous line between all of the letters and make it look like it's one whole word. Ideally, you want to be right over the top of these stamps when you're stamping. I've got the camera going, so I can't quite do that. So this S is a little bit shifted to the right, but I'll fix that in a minute. But I'm just going through and stamping one at a time. You can alter this so that it's all kind of even, the letters are even with each other, or you could bounce them up and down, so you really can change how the lettering looks and customize it for whatever project you're working on, which I really like. So you get that hand lettered look without having to practice your hand lettering. So super fun. I am working in Luke chapter 22 verse 46. It says, "And he said to them, Why are you sleeping? Rise and pray that you may not enter into temptation." So I'll talk about that in just a few minutes, but I'm just finishing up my stamping here. And I like that these letters have a brush look to them. So they're not a complete solid line. They are a little bit sketchy. And so it just goes to really make it look like it is hand lettered with like a paintbrush or something. So here I'm taking my Tombow Feud pen and filling in where my S wasn't connected, and then just writing in the word "and." I'll have all of these products listed down in the description bar down below, so be sure to check that out. So I'm going to be stamping with Inktense Pencils. You might be wondering how I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you. You could do the same technique using watercolor crayons. I just like that my Inktense pencils aren't waxy, and so I'm going to get this really pretty watercolor look. So I'm starting with this large solid image, and with a large image like this, you want to kind of dirty it up on your arm or with an eraser until it's got that matte finish, and that's what's going to help your ink or your paint or whatever you're using stick to this image and not just bead up on the top of the stamp. So I'm taking my Inktense pencil and dipping it into the water to activate the pigment and then rubbing it onto the stamp. This really works well with a large stamp like this. It doesn't necessarily work with a very detailed stamp. Off camera there, I'm just going to spritz that with a little bit of water just to get it a little bit more wet. And then when I stamp this down, I'm going to let this sit there for a few seconds and soak into the page. If I pull it up right away, it's going to pool and puddle and not be as intense. And you can see here you get that watercolor look. It's kind of imperfect, but that's what I'm going for. And so I'm going to speed this up and just continue stamping these images. So I'm going to create some poppies here. I'm going to list the colors of Inktense that I'm using today down in the description bar down below. If you're wanting to use the same colors, you can check that out. I have the full set of Inktense pencils and I love them. I specifically chose them for this project because they are so intense in color. They are very vibrant. So this page was very colorful in the end. I love how it turned out. And you could do this with inks. but I thought it would be fun. I don't have a lot of different colored inks, and so I'm trying to use the products that I already have, and this just gives that watercolor look. So you also have in the stamp set the lined images that match these solid images, so you could go ahead and stamp those in addition to this, or you could just stamp the outline and then color it in. There's so many different ways that you can use the stamp set, and I'll be using it in a future video to show you some of those different ways. But I'm just going to go through and choose a few different flowers from this set. And you can see the flowers off to the right. I hadn't intended on stamping over there, but I'd accidentally touched my page with my pencil. And so I ended up just adding a flower there, and it ended up working out. These Inktense pencils are transparent, transparent. And so you can see the text underneath the stamping, no problem at all. Here I'm going to go in and add some leaves, and I'm not worried about masking anything off. I'm letting things kind of overlap, and I'm going for that just really loose look with my stamping today. So nothing is perfectly touching or lined up. I'm just being casual with it. I'm going to add in some darker leaves and smaller pieces. There's a lot of different flowers that you can create with this set. I really love it. Be sure to check out the stamp sets they have over in the shop. They have a lot of different sets similar to this where they're a solid image and then a lined image. They had some really cute leaves that I think I might pick up. So now I'm taking one of the lined pieces from the stamp set. I think this is intended to be a stem for one of the smaller flowers, but I'm using it to add some line detail into these leaves. So I'm stamping again with that VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This ink does bleed through your page, so the lettering bled through, but where I'm stamping over the Inktense pencils, it's not bleeding through. So if you have something underneath it, it's fine. I'm going to add in some of the centers of the flowers, and so I really love that look of watercolor with pen detail, and you can achieve that with the stamp set. I'm not having to draw anything in or use my pen. I can get everything with just this stamp set. So I'm just adding some more line detail to the leaves. And now I'm going to take a black Inktense pencil to add some ink splatters to the page, just to add a little more messiness. This paintbrush was a little fluffy, so the drops were really big, and that's not really what I wanted. It kind of looked a little messy, so I just instantly picked it up with a paper towel, and then I'm going to go in with a smaller paintbrush. And so super simple, and this verse is just talking about not wallowing in your sorrows and instead turn to God in prayer. And so I really just love that sentiment. And so here is the page all finished. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think about it. Be sure to head on over to the Right at Home store to look at some of the other stamp sets she has over there. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.